Good morning, students. Today we shall discuss the first war of independence. So the first war of independence is also called the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. Just a small background of this first war of independence. 1757, that was the Battle of Plassey. Fought between the Nawab of Bengal and the forces of the British East India Company, in which the British soldiers won the decisive victory. And since then, the East India Company started expanding its dominions in India rapidly. They started to increase their political power in India. They started to exploit Indian resources. They also started interfering in social and religious practices of the people of India. All this put together affected very adversely all the sections of the people of India. The ruling classes, the jamindars, the peasants, the educated Indians, the soldiers, the artisans, the craftsmen, all were dissatisfied with the British rule. So all were prepared to revolt against the British rule, but there was no unanimity, there was no unity among the people. As a result, nobody had the courage to start any revolt. So when an ordinary soldier of Bengal regiment called Mangal Pandey refused to use the Enfield rifle and he shot dead a British army officer. All the other soldiers joined and supported Mangal Pandey, and the news spread like a wildfire. And in different parts of the country, the people came and supported this revolt. People participated in this revolt of 1857. So in short, we can say this was the revolt in which practically the people from all sections of the society and practically in all the parts of the country, the revolt was supported by the people of India. And that is why this particular incident is termed as the first war of independence, the first time the people of India tried to overthrow the British rule. That is the first war of independence. That is the Sepoy Mutiny, because first the soldiers were the ones to revolt, and after that other sections of people joined, supported this revolt. So there were many reasons for this revolt, many reasons for this war. The regions can be classified under the four headings. So there were political causes, there were socio-religious causes, there were economic causes, and there were military causes. And again, each of these causes has the subheadings. It has many more causes within it. So we'll take one by one, and today we'll confine our discussion with two causes, political causes and socio-religious causes. And we will discuss only the very, very important causes. The economic causes, military causes, you can study for yourself. They are very simple, and each cause has another 7, 8, 9, 10 causes. So you need to know at least 4 political causes, 4 socio-religious causes, 4 economic causes, 4 military causes. Okay, let us take first the political causes. Under the political cause, the British East India Company had their own policies of expanding their dominion in India. So there are few specific policies adopted by the British East India Company. The first is outright war. It means direct war against the Indian rulers. Defeat the Indian rulers and annex their territory to East India Company's dominion. And that way, Bengal was defeated, Bihar was defeated, Orissa was defeated, Punjab was defeated, Assam was defeated, and all these states were annexed to East India Company's dominion. Next one was subsidiary alliance. It means the East India Company did not attack these rulers. Instead, the East India Company put certain conditions before the Indian rulers. If the Indian rulers accepted these conditions, then the East India Company would not attack the Indian rulers. Indian rulers will continue to be the rulers of their states, but they had to follow those conditions. The conditions were the rulers of these states will accept the British as supreme power. That means the Indian rulers had to recognize the supremacy of the East India Company. The Indian rulers are to give one British resident in their headquarters. The Indian rulers are not allowed to have any foreign relationship with any other European countries other than with India, with England. So they can have their relations only with England. And Indian rulers are to keep British troops in their territory at their own cost. See, if these conditions the Indian rulers accepted, then those Indian rulers will continue to be the rulers of their states. In other words, these conditions made the Indian rulers puppets in the hands of the East India Company. The next one is the doctrine of lapse. Now, this doctrine of lapse was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. It means if any Indian ruler died without having a natural male heir, a natural male successor, in that case, the adopted son of the deceased ruler will not inherit the throne. That means the adopted son of the deceased ruler will not become the ruler of that state. That adopted son will only inherit the private property of the deceased ruler. And by this way, so many states came under the dominions of the East India Company. For example, Jhansi ki Rani. Her adopted son Anand Rao was not allowed to be the ruler of Jhansi. Again, Satara, Nagpur, Sambalpur. So many states came under the British dominion by the doctrine of lapse. Next one is under the pretext of misrule. That means if the East India Company felt that a particular ruler in a particular state is not able to manage the state properly, efficiently, in that case, the East India Company will annex the territory of that ruler. In other words, there was no need to prove any evidence. So without any evidence, without any proof, only in the name of misgovernance, mismanagement, the ruler of a particular state could be overthrown by the East India Company. And that way, the Nawab of Awadh was thrown out of the throne. So Nawab of Awadh. So Awadh, its state fell under the pretext of misgovernance and misrule. Then the disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah. See, Bahadur Shah was the last Mughal ruler. And after he was overthrown, he was under the protection of East India Company and he lived in Delhi in Red Fort. But Lord Dalhousie announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah will not be allowed to use Red Fort. Instead, they will have to shift near the Qutub Minar. And when Wellesley became the governor, he announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah will not be allowed to use the imperial title. They will use only names as princes. So that way, Bahadur Shah was not given proper respect, and that displeased a large section of Muslim population. In the same way, the ill treatment given to Rani Lakshmibai, ill treatment given to Nana Sahib displeased a large section of Hindu people. So all these people turned against the East India Company. So these are some of the important political causes for the first war of independence, 1857. Now we will discuss the socio and religious causes.